You hate family gatherings, and you feel guilty for it. You think you're ungrateful or emotionally cold. But the problem isn't the gathering, it's what it activates in you. Comparisons disguised as jokes, questions that cut quietly. So, are you dating anyone? What are your plans? You're still single? You smile on the outside. Inside, something shuts down. Your body goes into alert mode. You measure
calculate
every
word.
reaction. You don't go to celebrate. You go to protect yourself. You don't relax. You survive. And here's the truth. No one tells you. You don't hate your family. You hate who you had to become there. But when did that start? You're not overreacting. You're not being dramatic. Your body reacts before your mind because it remembers what your mind normalized. Family gatherings aren't neutral for you. They carry history, and history becomes automatic response, always. Napoleon Hill said the mind learns through repetition, not logic. If something repeats, it becomes an inner truth. Even when it hurts, even when it wounds, you learned too early. That presence came with pressure, and affection came with demands. You were conditioned to explain yourself, to justify yourself, to prove your worth. Every time you sat at the table, every time you were observed, every time you were compared, even silently. So your brain did what it knows best. It built a survival pattern. Gathering became threat, questions became attacks, opinions became judgment, and celebrations became tests. Tests you never passed. No matter how hard you tried, you're not avoiding your family. You're avoiding the feeling, that same old feeling of never being enough, of always needing improvement, of being behind in life, even living your own timeline, even doing your best. That's why the exhaustion starts early, before leaving the house, before choosing clothes, before rehearsing smiles. Your body already knows. It will need to defend itself. It will need to stay controlled. It will need to endure. This has a name: emotional conditioning. It's not weakness. It's not ingratitude. It's repeated learning, silently recorded, over many years, without anyone noticing. You learned silence avoided conflict. Agreement brought temporary peace. Over-explaining prevented criticism. Smiling hid tension. You adapted, and adaptation saved you back then. But today, it costs you deeply, very deeply. The problem is, patterns don't age alone. They grow with you. They follow you into other rooms, other tables, other relationships, other conversations, other pains. So it's not just family, it's relationships, work, friendships. You always feel evaluated, like you must perform, like you must earn belonging, even when no one asked. And here's the relief. You're not broken, not antisocial, not cold. You just learned the wrong lesson because you needed to survive. But what protected you then is now imprisoning you. You believed something without questioning it, that enduring meant maturity, that tolerating meant love, that staying was virtue, that leaving would be selfish. So you stayed, even uncomfortable, even hurting. You confused presence with obligation, silence with respect, swallowing pain with wisdom. You learned that creating tension was wrong, even when tension already existed, even when it came from others. You took responsibility for keeping the peace. You thought loving your family meant accepting everything, every invasion, every comparison, every harmless comment. You called it connection. You called it commitment. You called it emotional maturity, but it was self-abandonment. You believed that if you were stronger, you wouldn't feel it. If you were more evolved, it wouldn't bother you. If you had more faith, you'd endure better. So you pressured yourself. You minimized yourself. You silenced yourself. And you drifted away from who you are, just to belong. That's the illusion. Thinking constant discomfort is normal. That unease is weakness. That boundaries are rejection. That distance means lack of love. But it isn't. It never was. And your body knows it. You don't feel bad at gatherings because you're fragile. You feel bad because you're betraying something inside, something that asks for respect, something that asks for space, something that asks for truth. But you learned to ignore it because ignoring was safer than confronting. You tried to adapt better, change how you speak, how you answer, how you dress, how you exist, all to avoid discomfort, all to avoid becoming a topic, all to avoid being the problem. But the cost was high. You started feeling guilty for feeling, ashamed for wanting to leave, confused for needing distance. You wondered if something was wrong with you, but you never asked if something was wrong with the environment that demanded so much from you. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Not every discomfort is growth. Sometimes it's repeated emotional violation, normalized over the years, labeled as family, but felt as weight, ignored out of obligation, until now. And the hardest part to accept, you don't have to keep pretending. You don't have to keep shrinking. You don't have to keep paying this price. But this changes everything. Your position, your boundaries, and how others see you. If you're listening to this and feeling something tighten inside your chest, it's not a coincidence. It's because this story is also yours. Here, you won't hear empty advice or recycled phrases. Here, every video explains why you suffer and what God is trying to show you through it. Click the button now and subscribe so you don't have to walk alone while learning to honor yourself. You thought God wanted you to endure everything. That faith meant staying silent. That Christian love meant never reacting. That spiritual maturity meant self-erasure. But that never came from Him. It came from fear, from guilt, from habit. God doesn't confuse love with invasion or honor with emotional violence. He doesn't ask you to bleed quietly or smile while breaking inside. You just learned it wrong and called it virtue, called it obedience, but it was exhaustion. Scripture says something simple and clear. Above all else, guard your heart. It doesn't say expose it. It doesn't say sacrifice it without wisdom. It doesn't say tolerate everything. It says guard it, because the heart is a source, not a dumping ground. When you feel discomfort there, God isn't accusing you. He's alerting you. That unease isn't rebellion. It's discernment awakening. It's your soul saying something is off, that boundaries are needed, that respect isn't optional, not even with family. You thought distance was sin, but sometimes it's protection. You thought leaving early was coldness, but sometimes it's wisdom. You thought not going was lack of love, but sometimes it's self-respect maturing. And God works very well with that, much better than with guilt. Jesus also withdrew, stepped away from crowds, chose where to be and who to be with. He didn't explain himself to everyone, didn't expose himself without purpose, didn't give access to those who didn't respect him. That is conscious love. Maybe you never hated gatherings. Maybe you hated feeling small in them. Maybe you hated the version of yourself they demanded, the one who defended herself by smiling, who swallowed pain to keep peace, who stayed quiet to be accepted. God doesn't ask that of you. He never did. This is the revelation. You're not wrong for feeling, not distant from God for needing space, not failing spiritually for protecting yourself. You're maturing, learning to separate love from obligation, presence from performance, faith from fear. When you honor yourself, something shifts, the weight lifts, the guilt weakens, clarity grows. You begin to see God doesn't want you smaller. He wants you whole and at peace. And maybe that's why this pain surfaced now. Not to push you away from family, but to return you to yourself, to teach you how to stay without losing yourself, or to leave without hating yourself. God didn't break you in this process. He refined you, quietly. Healing begins when you stop explaining yourself, not to others, to yourself. You don't need to justify discomfort or translate sensations into acceptable stories. You felt the weight. You felt the invasion. That is already enough information. First action, redefine presence. You don't need to arrive early, or stay late, or participate in everything. Choose how long you stay. Choose where you sit. Choose when you leave. That's not coldness. It's emotional regulation. Before going, make an agreement with yourself. A time limit. A clear exit. A simple sentence. No long explanations. I'll need to leave early. No guilt. No extra justification. Second action. Stop answering what wasn't asked. You learn to protect yourself by over-explaining, anticipating criticism, filling silence. Today, do the opposite. Answer briefly. Breathe. Let silence work for you. When someone crosses a line, check your body, not your obligation. If your chest tightens, that matters. If your stomach knots, it's information. God also speaks through the body. Peace doesn't shout. It expands. Learn to listen. Bring your faith into the real moment, not as a speech, but as posture. Pray before entering, not to endure, but to remain whole. Ask for clarity, not approval. If someone provokes you, don't react automatically. You don't need to explain, or teach, or correct. Sometimes maturity is disengaging, changing the subject, leaving the table, choosing self-respect. You will feel guilt at first. It appears when patterns change. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're breaking something old. Guilt is not a compass. Awareness is, and awareness hurts at first. Then it frees you. Repeat this internally. I can love without violating myself. I can leave without hating myself. I can stay without disappearing. These phrases retrain the mind. Napoleon Hill would call it reconditioning. Scripture calls it renewal of the mind. The result is the same. You don't need to change your family today, or explain everything now. Change starts with you, in how you enter, in how you stay, in how you leave. Without war, without self-abandonment, healing isn't liking gatherings. It's not losing yourself in them. It's realizing you now have choice, that you're no longer trapped in the old role, that you can love with boundaries, stay with awareness, and leave with peace, even if it still hurts a little. Now, if you got distracted, come back here with me, because what comes next is the most important part. This is where everything changes, or nothing changes. You spent your life adapting. Now you must learn to position yourself, not against your family, but in favor of yourself. That changes the axis, the energy, the body's response, and your future. There's something you've never done consciously, choosing to be whole before being present. You always entered preparing for impact. Now, you enter observing yourself, feet on the ground, breathing before responding. That's not coldness, it's emotional maturity. You don't need to win invisible arguments, or prove you're okay, or show growth. Those who understand will, those who don't, aren't your responsibility to convince. Jesus didn't explain himself to those testing him. He withdrew. That is strength too. Start doing something simple. After every gathering, ask yourself, did I respect myself? Not, did they like me? Not, was I accepted? But was I honest with myself? That question changes everything, because it gives control back to you. You'll notice something uncomfortable. Some people only liked you when you shrank. When you change, the system reacts. They may call you distant, cold, different, but it signals a healthy rupture. Stop negotiating your peace to protect an image. Stop paying with anxiety to maintain belonging. You owe no emotional performance, no endless explanations, no forced presence. You owe honesty to yourself and wholeness to God, nothing more. When you change, God sustains you, not with applause, but with inner peace, the kind that doesn't depend on others' reactions, the kind that remains in silence. That peace is the sign, not external comfort, but internal steadiness. You can still love your family, but now without betraying yourself. You can be present without disappearing, leave without guilt, stay without shrinking. This is real growth, not distance, alignment with who you're becoming. And when you understand this, something settles inside. The body relaxes differently. The mind slows down. The heart stops going into alert mode. You don't need to defend yourself constantly anymore, because now you know you're on your own side. You weren't born hating family gatherings. You learned to protect yourself in them, to stay alert, to measure words, to swallow discomfort too small to explain, but too heavy to ignore. That was never a flaw. It was survival. For a long time, you thought the problem was you. Too sensitive, too weak, too difficult. Now you understand. Your body was reacting to an environment that demanded too much and offered too little space, too little safety. You don't have to return as the same person anymore. You don't have to sit at the table asking permission to exist. You can arrive whole, with clear boundaries, with silence when needed, with conscious presence or healthy absence. Both are valid choices. God didn't call you to endure everything. He called you to live in truth, and truth brings peace. Even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it changes old dynamics, even when some don't understand. Peace is the sign, not approval. Maybe you still don't enjoy gatherings, and that's okay. Maybe you go less often, stay for shorter periods, choose more carefully when to attend. That doesn't make you distant. It makes you aware, and awareness is maturity. Now you're learning to belong to yourself, without guilt, without war, without proving anything. Just honoring what you feel, what you can give and what you can anymore. You didn't lose love. You gained clarity. You didn't lose family. You gained boundaries. You didn't lose faith. You gained intimacy with God, because now you know He was never against you. You feared being seen as cold, but discovered something deeper. Being whole costs less than self-erasure and brings more peace than pleasing. Now you see, it was never about the gathering. It was always about losing yourself. And now, you're back. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to our channel. Here, every story reveals why you suffer and what God is teaching you through it. Psychology to understand yourself. Spirituality to understand the deeper meaning. And for you who made it to the end of this video, comment, "I choose peace." There's something spiritual about declaring it. Clarity follows those who choose truth.